Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. Welcome to episode number 85, recorded this January 16th, 2020. I am your host, Mark, and I am joined by my co-host. First, his name is Mino Spellgood. Mino, how are you doing?
Hey, Mark. Doing pretty good. Pretty tired though. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Yep, been a long day, long meeting, but I am here and ready to go. And I am also joined by our other co-host. His name is Kreese, aka Zerink. How you doing, Kreese?
Also tired, but okay.
Everyone's tired. Yes, well, welcome to the show. Thank you, everybody on Twitch. We do record live on Twitch every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for all of our subscribers. You can always subscribe, follow us on Twitch. That does help us with the cost of the show. We also do have new for here in the domestic area in the United States, some TCC merch, and I am wearing our TCC podcast shirt. I have a couple. And I did post a picture, I think, of my son wearing his. So one of my youngest son wearing his. But yeah, so you can check out that. But you can find all of our links to social media, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, our Discord link, join our Discord community at tccpodcast.com, tccpodcast.com. Well, let's get into the show for the day. For the first time in a couple of weeks, we do not have an event dropping as we speak, and we don't have a lot of news and even a lot to cover tonight, but we are here with you every week regardless of what we have to cover. We'll fill in the gaps with what we think we need to talk about, but we did get a late January Chocobo panel mission. Notable in this mission is the need to use Firion and Rosa, among other things, killing bosses from the Rosa LC and perhaps the Emperor event and perhaps other things that we have yet to see. So, and we just got a preview for Dimensions and Entropy Tier 6 launching on Friday, January 24th. You'll be pitted up against Lunatic, Great Malbro, Lunatic Ultimate Weapon, and other fearsome foes. So we were talking a little bit about that pre-show. That will be launching. And we also got why are we getting the notifications for these so early? The notification for Ultimate Brothers, which is also on the 24th. We'll talk about that a little later.
For these big things, they tend to send out the notifications a week in advance.
So we just got them.
They're going to drop them from now, so that's the reason that we're getting them now.
We just got those as we were streaming. So at the moment, we only have one Chocobo panel mission, which has been the first time in a while, I believe. We got, 5 hours left on the early January, but then the new one just hit. 40 co-op, Spectres, 20 with Rosa, log in 8 days, use a support item, 30 red bats, 50 scorpion types, 10 things with Firion, and enhance an artifact. So Macnol usually does a cheat sheet on how to get those. If you're looking for, where's scorpions, where's red bats, all that kind of stuff. He usually has figured out how to do that and shares that on Reddit. That's MACNOL. Macnol, he also does the call to arms, so check that out. But I generally find as long as you're playing the game and doing the content, you're going to get those mission requirements without too much problem. Any other news that
Since
I'm
I
missing?
just cleared Rosa's LC on normal tonight, I'll mention that most of the monsters you need to kill to show up in her LC, and doing it once through on normal got me a good chunk of them. I didn't complete any, but I did get a decent chunk.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to Loot for the subscription, the Tier 1 subscription. Appreciate that. Remember, you can support us through that, either Twitch Prime or regular Twitch subs. And Eons is reminding us that you can use the $monster and then type what you need to, red bat in parentheses, in MateriaBot. So Quetz, the creator of MateriaBot, has that in our Discord chat and several other Discords, but you can find that in our Discord easy enough, and that will give you a little hint of where to get those monsters. So very nice. And thank you, Shiro, for the resub. So appreciate all of the support tonight from everybody and everybody joining us online. Thank you very much. That brings us back to the event that launched while we were streaming last week, the Kimahri event, Unbreakable Pride. We were so enthralled by Kimahri, his amazing kit. We had, an extra guest. Arrow was on with us last week, and she just couldn't stop gushing about the Ronzo. No, we all crapped on Kimahri. He's terrible. Too bad for him, though. As Kreese said last week, he just came at the wrong time. If he had come 6 months earlier, much better. So we will talk about the chaos fight, which we had not had a opportunity to do. So in the chaos fight, you actually have three, I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, 3 waves of the boss. So the boss doesn't revive, but you fight him 3 different times, and it is an Archeoaveus type boss called Osteoaveus. And it's kind of like the Final Fantasy X thing that you fight in the sewer, and you fight it in the air, and then it dies, and you fight its undead version, right? So the same kind of thing. It's a big snaky looking dead thing. And you fight it, correct me if I'm wrong, you fight it 3 different times. So wave 3, 4, and 5 are all this character, correct? Yeah, Hate 13 is a bone snake.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Archeoavis actually has its origins from Final Fantasy V. You fight it in the Earth ruins as the final boss at the end of the first world.
Correct.
And its gimmick is that you kill it, it revives. You kill it, it revives. It finally dies after you kill it again. And they do that here by just having it be on multiple waves. A notable thing about the Osteoavis for this event is that it actually does not have its recast ability, as far as I could tell. On the first wave you fight it, it gets it on the second wave, but it becomes a lot faster on the third wave, so it's most dangerous there.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any resistances initially. It is immune to Int Brave down and defense down, but as Kreese just said, it has this powerful attack called Recast N-Ball, its recast ability, or its ultimate attack, N-Ball. Increases Brave when Brave is less than Int Brave, does a group AoE magic plus HP attack, restores HP, inflicts Int Brave down, attack down, and fire, ice, wind resistance down. So that can be really a pain in the butt. You don't want it. Does all kinds of other elemental attacks and everything else. I didn't find it particular since it's only one boss. I actually brought Yuna and Tifa and Y'shtola, and for some reason I brought a Setzer friend. I'm not even sure why I brought a Setzer friend, but I really didn't have any issues with it. It was a longer fight. It took me over 90 turns to do the first attempt at it, but I was able to get the score. Didn't have any problems defeating it. I think I heard someone, GRW18 saying paralyze, HP silence. So, the Agrius, I saw a lot of Agrius friends. That works very well. Did you guys want to talk about any strategies you had for this event?
You want to go first, Kreese?
Yeah, I guess I'll mention my headaches was I didn't realize how much the boss was going to ramp up over the consecutive waves, so I actually, on my first run through, popped my summon on the 4th wave instead of saving it for the final wave, which left me in a tight spot because on the final wave it sped up so much that I had trouble arranging to deal with it action to action, where it could sometimes get much faster than some of my characters. And I was trying to run Barret, so Barret's kind of slow. That caused some problems. The debuffs are obnoxious if you don't deal with them, so either you need to bring someone with debuff evasion, or you need to bring someone who can cleanse debuffs. Options are relatively limited at the moment, but there are a couple. Or you can just try to brute force through it. My strategy was that I did bring along Lena to help deal with them, and just brought a powerhouse to keep the damage up through the whole fight. I'm not sure what your strategy was, Mino.
I'll get to. Oh, okay, well, my strategy was attack debuffs. I piled on attack debuffs so that it wouldn't one-shot me, and then I slowly healed it back up. But I really, really like this fight. I think it's a well-designed fight, and I think Rosa's Chaos is also a really good fight. And it's because there seem to be so many approaches to it. You could do debuff evasion. You could bring cleanses. You could bring defensive characters like, Kimahri's whole thing was reducing Brave and HP damage taken. He's not the only one with that niche. You have Porum. I actually haven't heard if Bosch works for this. I mean, it's possible with his last stand, right?
I do not see any Bosch clears. There's not a lot of videos in the call to arms for this. There's 30, so that is a lot. But I don't see any Bosch or Celeste or anything like that. Any tank. The most general strategy, the most common team was just Tola, Tifa, and Charlotta, or Y'shtola, Tifa, Cloud, Y'shtola, Tifa, Ultimecia, Y'shtola, Tifa. Y'shtola, Tifa, Charlotta, Y'shtola, Tifa, Ultimecia were the most common teams, and the teams that were able to break, get max score 900,099. 999,000.
There's a couple of Warrior of Lights, a single Zidane complete. So that's impressive.
A lot of, Null was used several times. Our friend from the Tomberry Troop, Vane Novus, who's an excellent player, did a couple budget runs. I'm looking at Macnol's called Arms, so you can check that out. He did Charlotta, Vane, and Yuna 0 MLB, just realized, and Charlotta, Null, Yuna. Again, Yuna just realized, no gets invested, and was able to clear with both of those. And as Kreese is referencing, Levi XX did Y'shtola, Zidane, Charlotta. So there were options, interesting options. I did like I thought about, as Vane Novus did, I thought about using Vane. It'd be interesting now with Rosa to go back and use Rosa and Vane in a combination. I think they would do real well in that fight. But I wanted to bring Yuna, so I brought Yuna.
Yeah, and besides the ones I've already listed, which was now I forget. Oh yeah, debuff evasion, debuff cleanse, reducing HP damage. There's also debuffing.
Turn delay seems to be popular.
Right. I was gonna say turn denial if you completely not have it go, and also just debuffing it so it can't one-shot you. So there's like 6+ ways to deal with this, and multiple teams for each way. I think it's a very, very well designed chaos, and I think Rosa follows suit. Rosa's a little stricter, but it's a very similar thing where there's many, many approaches on how to beat it, and I hope all the fights are like this going forward. But they're not going to be. I know Ember is pretty bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of, as Talut is saying, a lot of Tifa, friend Tifa, going on in this fight in the call to arms. And of course that's going to be, that's going to, especially with the single target boss, that's going to be bread and butter for Tifa. Tifa's going to really enjoy that. Oddly enough, Yuna really, the fact that she's boosted was great, but Yuna really benefits from multiple enemies, so the single target enemy was not as exciting for her as other things would have been. But that's okay. I'm using her to farm like crazy. So anything else on Unbreakable Pride, the ongoing story of Kimahri's crappiness? Speaking of Kimahri's crappiness,
just my misery with trying to get artifacts for Barrett and failing miserably.
There was a Kimahri Barrett Yuna clear by JAB 1000, Jab 1000, and good respectable score, 619,000 with Kimahri Barrett and Yuna friend Tifa. So everybody's showing their worth there for a little bit. So and I think that was a looks like non-realized Kimahri, but a purple Barrett, purple Yuna, EX only Kimahri. So very interesting. Yeah.
Mino, do you want to respond to something that was said in chat about Kimahri?
Sorry, I'm a little distracted. What was said? Is this Josh's?
Careful look.
Okay.
Yeah, Joshua is saying that Kimahri is a joy to use, and nobody can tell me otherwise. He is jack of all trades. He has so many good qualities. He doesn't have a horn, but that's okay. So we use. We said you can find uses for Kimahri.
My friend did say that when he was running Kimahri co-ops yesterday night, he ran into Josh's full MLB
So
Kimahri. So
okay, so he's not lying. He
yeah,
he is.
Well, That
Squex
Kimahri better be
Joshua
shown
does
off
have
during
a
the next
purple
community stream. Let's just put it that way.
Kimahri.
I want to see it rocking the co-op, whatever co-op you do.
UBU, Squex Joshua, UBU. Yeah, GRW8. If the boss is solo, Yuna can use Sonic Wing, and that does battery the party, but she's doing more damage with Energy Wave, more overflow, the more damage with the multiple attacks. So, I mean, I think she shines a little bit better. But yeah, the first, the Sonic Wing does 4 hits, which is nice, and it does battery the party, which is nice. So that's why, I mean, she was great. I used her fairly effectively in that without much of a problem. So, yeah, hey, thank you, Crease, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Squex Joshua. We just got to keep
those emotes. He better be using them.
We just got to keep Josh honest by keeping him subscribed. Yeah, no. Hey, yeah, Zero Lancer saying use Kimahri for all my Chaos runs. Well, I would assume not all of them because he's only been around for a week. But the last 2, maybe. So good. Yeah. There is. I mean, we've said this how many times. I don't think there's going to be a lot of characters coming out in this Chaos era who you're not going to be able to use. There are obviously characters who are stronger. There are characters who are more focused. I think we were fair to Kimahri last week. One of his issues is he just does a lot of different things. So, he doesn't do any one of those things exceptionally well. And you have to really build your team around him if you're going to use him effectively and, be aware that he may not work in every single fight. So, but that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, by the way, happy belated birthday, Josh. I think it was his birthday just this past weekend.
Happy birthday.
Wasn't he in
to
Japan
Josh.
for that?
He was overseas. Unless you live in Japan, then he was where you are. He was in your yard eating your whatever you eat. Sushi, I guess.
That's racist.
I know he was in your what they eat sushi in Japan. Isn't that where sushi's from? But I know he was in the I saw various pictures of Nintendo and of course the Square Enix Cafe and it wouldn't have been Toei, but Shogun Jump and several different stores where lots of things were to buy that you visited. So yeah, a lot of fun. Well, moving on from Kimahri's Unbreakable Pride to
Sorry, I need to say one more thing. Even though I'm teasing Josh about his Kimahri pick, I can't be too mean to him because I've made some bad investments myself over the past month or 2 that probably won't pan out the way I'd hope.
It's true. It's true. We all have, that's for sure. But moving on, we did get another event, Rosa's Lost Chapter, a prayer for a One Dear. And this brought us Sabin's rework, his EX realization, Rosa's rework, her EX realization, and a new Lost Chapter. So we're going to start with the bear of a man and our co-host Mino Spellgood's favorite character of all time. His name is Sabin, and Mino's going to make sure that you know how important it is to pull for Sabin right now. Invest all your ingots, all your gems, all your tickets. Get that guy. All right, Mino, take us away. Tell us all about Sabin.
All right. I mean, everyone's expecting a blow up. I already had my blow up the day of in Discord. It's been 2 or 3 days. I've calmed down, so there's a much more objective view. But let's go over this one by one. So Sabin gets a few new gimmicks with his new awakening. He now has a framed imperil, which is pretty nice. I believe this is the first one we're getting, right? A framed elemental imperil, and it combines 2 elemental imperils in one. So
Shentaro.
Oh, right. But that's on her EX. This is Sabin on demand, every single move he does. And with the EX, he also does the self-enchant. So I believe, again, please correct me here, Kreese, is he the first imperil enchanting DPS that we're getting?
Dual enchant and No, Garnet was the first. He's the first that actually does it well.
Wait, Garnet enchants herself? I
Yeah.
guess
She
she does.
party enchants
Yeah, she
water
party
and
enchants.
lightning. Yeah, thunder.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, anyways,
She's
Sabin has a framed
she's not good
imperil,
though,
so that's
so
nice.
you know.
There's also Rydia that does party, enchant, and imperil.
Yep.
Right. And then now he has a new chakra stacking mechanic that they seem to be giving to 90% of the monks. I'm just going to call it chakra for short. In game it's called Battle Spirit Unleashed, which is a mouthful, but I'm just going to call it chakra for short. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like it. I don't like how Square Enix likes to give they make all the monks in DFFOO ramp up characters. None of them can use their full power all the time. They have to really cycle through it. You have that problem with Prish, where she has to cycle through bad abilities and good abilities. You have that with Zell. You have that with Ida building up her Grease Lightning, and Lise as well with the chakra stacks. Like, it's just every monk seems to get shafted here. Even Tifa and Yang have to like focus before they can go all out. Waste a turn here or there. At least Tifa's now is a free turn. But so Sabin gets this new chakra thing. Each time he uses a normal ability, he'll build one stack. If you MLB him, his HP plus plus builds a stack, but you have to initiate it with the ability first. And he can hold up to 4 stacks, but once he's at 3 stacks, his abilities become plus versions, and then you have to spend it, and then it takes up 2 stacks, so he goes back to 1. And AA aside, he can only build 1 stack a turn, which means ideally you can only use a plus version of a skill every 3 turns, which is really, really nasty, and we'll get into why later. But anyways, Aura Cannon got reworked. It now does 50% splash damage, and the plus overflows up to 180%, which is huge, and ignores defense and refunds 50% of the HP damage done back as Brave. Pretty nice. Razor Gale. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I had to burp. It's the same as ever, splits, and then the plus will give it more overflow, ignores defense, and delays all targets hit. So that's actually pretty decent utility. The plus skills are really good, but I'll get to their drawbacks in a second. Then you have his new EX, Phantom Rush, which is basically a pure DPS move. There's not that much utility. It enchants him. It gives him a unique framed buff that makes him a little stronger, increases his overflow, increases his attack, and the enchant is an extra, I believe, 10% damage when you're using the same element. So it's just more damage. It's a double Brave plus HP attack unless you 3/3 him, then it's a triple Brave plus HP attack. Nothing new, just straightforward DPS, and the plus version of that, because the EX works just like his other abilities. If you use the normal version, it builds a stack, and then it has a plus version, but all the plus version does is ignore defense, and it's up to you how useful that really is. It's a very slow charging EX too, by the way, so you can't really rely on it to build stacks or to be up when you want it to. Let's see, other new features. The last one is his AA, which is, I think, actually one of the better AAs out there, because it just gives him max chakra stacks whenever you use it. So that solves that problem. So here's the actual problem with Sabin, and this is what holds him back. Like, I think with all this in place, he has the basis of a good kit, which could be improved on in the next era when they get the next tier of weapons. And if they reduce how crap this stack building is for him, he'd be in a really good spot, because I don't think any other character builds stacks as slowly as he does. Lise needs 5 stacks, but she builds stacks whenever her teammates attack as well, right? So it doesn't take nearly as long. Terra can build a crapload of stacks right away. But anyways, I think Square Enix...
Ace also doesn't lose his stacks when he uses his abilities. That's the difference.
Yeah, a lot of people hold on to their stacks. And even Terra, who I think is the closest, she can at least hoard her stacks up to 9 stacks, use an ability, and then potentially like use it again every other turn or so. Like the gap isn't as big. Sabin has to wait 3 turns between each plus ability. And let's be honest, his base abilities, if the average strength of an ability in Chaos Era right now is a 5 out of 10, I think Sabin's normal abilities are about a 3 out of 10. And his plus abilities are about a 6 out of 10. And that, I think it holds him back a lot. If he could fire out those pluses every time, he'd be pretty damn strong. Even if it's every other turn, it's pretty damn good. But knowing that you have to burn 3 turns between each attack it's bad. I mean, so Ink had this rotation. Ink says use 1 ability, then 2 HP attacks, and then plus ability, then 2 HP attacks, and then the EX plus, and then repeat. And he's like, that's how you get the most pluses out of that way. Sabin's throwing plus abilities all the time. But if you're using 4 HP attacks every 7 turns, that is pretty fucking terrible. Let's be honest. It's a 120% potency with a little bit of overflow. Like, you don't want anyone on your team doing that. Not even Ultimecia you want using that many pluses, I think. Even she throws in more abilities in her rotation. But either way, he has 14 total ability uses. If you factor that in to a plus for every 3rd one, he's only getting 4 plus abilities. And that really, really hurts. Not only that, but you either play him burst, where you're spamming abilities back to back, so he's always doing good damage and always getting pluses out, and he'll run out really, really fast. Because Sabin's decently fast now with the Awakening. Or you're taking your time and buffering it with the HP attacks, and he's doing ridiculously subpar damage. There's no win-win here. I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff, but let me pass it around, guys, in case you guys remember any pros and cons I missed, and I'll come back.
Squex Joshua was saying that he needs to do some stretching before the athletics. So you gotta build up. The monks are very physical characters. So you gotta do your work. You don't want to get a cramp in battle. That's for sure. Thank you, Paper Flame and CSAM, for the subscriptions. Appreciate that. Yeah, poor Sabin. But a couple folks in Twitch are saying, he's not a terrible character if you're new and you really need some magic DPS. He is an option for you. But he is definitely a ramp-up character, and that's not always bad. Ultimecia is a ramp-up character, right?
But you can control it.
But the thing is, Sabin's not really a ramp-up character. He's a tempo character.
There you go.
He, as Mino said, he has pockets of damage. Mm-hmm. He has periods where he does a lot of damage, but then he has to spread that out with periods where he doesn't do much damage. The only thing that I can think of that Mino forgot to say is that Sabin's Brave Plus and HP Plus and HP Plus Plus all give him stacks of Battle Spirit Unleashed. Mm-hmm. So he does not have to burn his abilities to build up to the Plus versions. He does have to use his abilities to refresh the buff at some point, though. And that's one of the big problems, is that the way his kit is designed, the Plus versions only remove the stacks. They don't refresh stacks. So you have to use the base version every 8 turns to maintain the stacks, or you'll lose them.
Right. I think I did. I think what you're saying, I missed that HP plus doesn't refresh. Right. But coming back, and then you can finish it off, because I remembered a few more things, is you were talking about tempo characters. So Sabin's like my second favorite character in the entire series, and that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of characters in the series. I only like about 10 of them, but Sabin's my second favorite in the entire series, and I feel like Square Enix knows that, because they turned him into my least favorite character, Alize. Because he plays exactly like Alize, where it's a tempo character that you build up, do big damage, then you have to build up again. But the problem here, and that's the worst playstyle, because you have no control. what are you going to do? Like, you can't control when that plus comes. It's coming every third Sabin turn. If you transition into another wave and it's up, well, then it's up. Or if the target dies beforehand or whatever, you can't really control when his burst is coming. The burst is there and you use it or you don't. And if you want to fight that mechanic, if you want to hold on to your stacks to use your plus ability at an ideal time, then that's also really bad. Like, it feels good in this game to throw abilities out. When you use abilities, it should be strong. You shouldn't be afraid to use abilities. You shouldn't be worried, oh, if I use the plus now, I'm screwed for another couple of turns, and like be afraid to use his stuff. You shouldn't be incentivized to use Brave Plus and HP Plus Plus over abilities. It just feels like it's a kit that fights itself. It's very counterintuitive, I feel, and I really hate it. Oh, and also, Sabin's a dual element character. I'm not a fan of that. We already talked about Vaughn. Either you have no elements and you work on a enchant and peril team, or you have one specialized element and you do what you do really well. But with chaos, when it's either absorb the element or get out, and we've seen bosses now who are only vulnerable to like 2 or 3 elements, what are the chances if Sabin can go in with Holy and Imperil, he can use that one skill, but if they absorb wind, then half his kit is dead, and vice versa. So that also holds him back. But on the bright side, if his stack problem goes away, if he can build more stacks at a time or hold on to his stacks in the LD era, this is a pretty good kit. Like, having that many on-demand AoE delays is actually really good. The splash is pretty decent. And finally, I guess, with all said and done, I'm going to rate Sabin as weak. Really hard. I almost want to say, because I was running him through a lot of chaoses for fun, because, I want to play my favorite character. Ran him through a couple of entropies, and his damage is good right now. He feels like Vaughn, where he has a lot of big burst power, and he is fun to play, and I enjoy playing him, but I think I'm still rating him weak just because even though right now his damage is quite impressive, with very minimal utility, he's going to fall off fast. The Imperil Enchant gimmick, it just makes him do more damage. It doesn't really do anything else. And there's not too many Wind or Holy characters that can take advantage of that just yet. Maybe Vaughn, but Shantoto's not strong yet until her EX Plus comes back. Eiko might, maybe, when hers comes back, but there's not that many strong. Someone said Kuja, but only one of Kuja's skill is Holy. I don't think that's worth it. And the last, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
I was going to say, the last thing I'm going to say is my advice to anyone that 3-3'd Sabin like me and wants to use him. I feel like you should use his AA right off the bat on the very first turn, because it immediately brings him to 4 stacks, and he has to wait a lot less between charges. Otherwise, you're wasting 3 turns building charges before he gets his plus. If you use his AA right off the bat, boom, you're at your plus. You go down to 2, you use an ability, boom, you're at your plus again. And at the very least, the AA lets you get consecutive pluses when you really need to. But it's only twice a fight, and it's just a clunky kit, honestly. But that's all I got.
Yeah, thank you, Rob Gotti, for the follow. And people are calling you out on Twitch about all of the different characters that are HP plus machines. There are quite a few, but just a question, Mino, and then Kreese, go ahead. And thank you, Eons, for the follow as well. So if I did purple Sabin, he's a favorite character of mine. I want to use him. Who should I pair him with? What's kind of the team comp? I mean, he's a selfish DPS, but he's also a monk, which generally have some kind of support ideas in their heads. So he does imperil and he does empower. So, I mean, that is kind of a supporty kind of role. So who do I pair him with? How am I bringing him into chaos fights? What's going to lift him up?
I think it's really telling that he released alongside Rosa, because honestly, as a pure DPS character, if he's just on his own, his potencies are really not that impressive. I mean, his kit is built to hit weakness and hit ghosts, right? Remember when he initially released
Oh yeah.
and his potencies were so laughable because they were accounting for the ghost gimmick?
And he wasn't even good against ghosts. Though that
Yeah,
first,
right. And there's people do more damage against ghosts.
we
But
talked a lot
but
about that. It was
now
bad. Yeah.
and they still want to lock him down on it because even if they give him a little pass on the ghost, which I don't feel like is there because his potencies are still rough, they're counting on him to hit weakness, right? Because he can always enchant and imperil himself. They're counting him to always hit weakness, always hit ghosts. So naturally, his potencies are not that strong. I've seen him in synergy, boosted with all boards, perfect artifacts and stuff, and his EX hits with crits are doing like 7k. And I think that, that's in synergy with crits and with everything max. That's pretty low. With Rosa is such a strong boost to his max brave and attack. He really needs a big character like that. And I think anyone who can speed Sabin up is really, oh no, I don't know. Other than big fat auras that everyone loves, I really can't think of anything, Kreese, unless you got something for me here.
The only thing I wanted to add in is that Sabin right now is most comparable to Terra's kit in that all of his stuff builds stacks of something that is immediately burned on plus versions of abilities. The difference, however, is that Terra basically alternates between using a basic version of ability and a plus version of an ability, whereas Sabin is on a 3-turn step, as you said, rather than an every other turn step. And so besides the issues with Terra still not having any X plus right now, the basics of the kit are that Sabin just doesn't build them fast enough. And that's going to hold him back. If it was, as Mino said, if it was an every other thing like Terra's kit was, I think he'd work out much better because then you could plan, okay, this turn he's going to have the weaker version. Next turn he'll have the stronger version. I can hold on to it for a turn, build up stack so that the next one will come out a little faster maybe. Or in Terra's case, actually build up to 2 consecutive plus abilities. Sabin can never do that without using his additional ability. So Sabin just has issues with he can't hold enough stacks to do 2 consecutive. It takes him too long to build up those stacks when he wants to.
That's his only problem. It's the speed of his EX and his stack building. If everything was just a little faster, he'd be much stronger. I was really debating between putting him between viable and weak, but I think I'm leaning towards weak just because the complete lack of utility means he will get pushed off quicker than if he had some gimmick like the other DPSs. Like Locke has a heal on him that gives him an edge over others, or Cloud has the launches, or Agrius has the silences, but Sabin has nothing.
Yeah, like he does have something. It's Imperil Enchant. That's his gimmick, right? I mean,
that's just more damage, though. Yeah, that's just more damage, right?
Yeah, but that is his gimmick. That is what he does. And he does offer that to other people, right?
No, just himself.
Oh, he.
So if he could enchant the entire party, yes. Well, that's why it's so bad.
Yeah, everybody takes advantage.
The Imperil apply.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Yeah, but the enchant is self only. If he could enchant everybody with Wind Holy, hell yes, he'd be amazing. But no, he only enchants himself, and that's why I can't even call it utility, right?
Yeah, that's tough. All right, anything else about Sabin?
Oh, yes. If you're taking away anything from this, it's that it's pronounced Sabin. On our Discord, I pulled out multiple links. Any real person living with this name, there's a lot of famous Sabins out there. It's a real name like Zidane. I mean, I don't care how you pronounce Titus or Jekt or whatever, because those are fake made-up fantasy names, right? But Sabin is a real-world name. Look up Albert Sabin, the person who cured polio, who invented the polio vaccine. There is Chris Sabin, a pro wrestler right now. There's also championship arm wrestler called Sabin Badalescu or whatever.
How do other people pronounce it?
Everyone says like Sabine or Sabin or
Sabine. Sabine was the Empress of Mandalore, so that's
Wait, did she become? You know what? This isn't a Star Wars podcast.
So that's a whole different. Yeah. So yeah, it was also one of the characters in Rebels. Isn't that Sabine? Satine.
Satine.
Satine was Empress of Mandalore. Sabin was the
GRW18
character.
says, with the elemental change coming up with Golbez, does that improve Sabin's standing? Yeah, it does. But at that point, if you want to nuke things, I think you have Golbez.
Yeah.
It's rough. I do appreciate that Sabin's at least a semi AoE kit. Skill 1 splashes, skill 2's AoE, and Edgar's gonna have the exact same gimmick where, because they're twins. He's also gonna have one splash move, one AoE move, and defense piercing. Just like, except Sabin has utility. I mean, Edgar has utility because of the debuffs that he plies on.
And also, Edgar's empowerment mechanic isn't stuck behind stacks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just needs a debuff on the enemy. It feels like Edgar always gets the better deal out of the two, right? It's like, oh, well, we fucked up with Sabin. Here's a better version on Edgar every single time.
I think Sabin was better in the 60 Awakening era. It's just that Edgar had an EX. That was the only difference.
All right, Mark, I believe you're going to cover the highly, highly, highly anticipated character of the event here.
Yeah, so Edgar also got is that a World of Illusion? Is that what you're talking about, Eons? I'm not really sure what you're
Yeah,
referencing.
Edgar does have a World of Illusion weapon that gives a small party aura, I believe.
Small aura.
Yeah, he does give an aura. That's right. Yeah. His World of Illusion weapon isn't terrible. All right, so yes, that does bring us to Rosa, the other character on the banner. We already had Rosa's EX, but we had not had her level 70 Awakening, and she also got a rework. So what did her rework do? It made her first ability, Divine Blast, much more powerful. The Brave Hits became more powerful. It allowed her to do overflow with that. It also made Prayer more powerful. Becoming more powerful. What should I say? The effect of Prayer trigger condition becomes HP is less 50% or less, or at least 80% of max. It added 5 turns of re-raise, the ability to re-raise everybody, and an HP regeneration effect. So that was super nice to actually give her the ability to heal a character. Now, I thought she already had re-raise before the rework, but it says here in the in-game notice that it adds re-raise. So did she not have the re-raise ability?
What happened is that the extension passive now adds an extra 5 turns of re-raise on top of what the 35 passive did. So if you have her 35 weapon passive equipped, you get 5 turns of re-raise plus the 5 additional turns from her Awakening passives. If you do not have the weapon passive equipped, you only get 5 turns due to the extension passive.
Yeah, so when she casts re-raise, it's 10 turns on the party? It's a 10-turn frame buff. Yeah, so before it was a 5-turn frame buff. Now it's if you have all the weapons, everything, all the passives, now it's a 10-turn frame buff. So thank you for that. That makes a little sense. So that does help her quite a bit. Gives her some additional usage. Of course, she does get an AA. It's a fairly useful AA. She has 2 uses. It's a 5-turn. It gives her party aura, more attack, 10% attack, and more overflow, 10% overflow. So pretty useful. She already had her EX, but she does get an EX realization. When you realize her EX, she gets the HP++ ability. It also makes her EX ability Luminous Arrow, give 180% overflow, and it heals the party now. So again, she's doing some regen with the re-raise ability, and she's doing burst healing with her EX damage, and it's 50% HP healed up to 20% of your max HP. So very, very cool. So she does actually heal now. Funny, a white mage should heal. And she gets the HP++, which her HP++ is Brave plus HP attack. That party batteries the party 20% of damage dealt. So she does get an HP++ that does battery the party as well. Luminous Arrow grants 4 turns of Miraculous Light when you use 1 ingot. And Miraculous Light allows the party's overflow limit to increase by 20% on all their attacks, and gives Brave Regen 80% of I Brave. Now remember, she also gives the party an I Brave aura, so her Brave regen is gonna then be helped by the fact everybody's I Brave is higher than it was. 2 ingots increases her attack and M Brave. Also grants 10 turns of Rosa's Prayer on start of the quest. So when you start, you don't have to use prayer because she already starts with 10 turns of Rosa's Prayer, the frame buff from prayer that gives all of the auras. Now it doesn't give re-raise to the party, so if you want to use, if you want to have re-raise on the party, you do need to use prayer. But in the early stages of the fight, you're not going to need re-raise on the party because they're not going to need healing. That's really why you want re-raise, to give that HP regen 5%, and potentially the auto revive, which is nice. Interestingly enough, because I have played enough where Rosa has been killed, when she revives, so if she has re-raise on herself and she dies, she re-rises or re-raises with Rosa's Prayer. So this ability that when you start the quest with a frame buff, that apparently also refreshes when you die and are re-raised. Normally, if you have just normal buffs on a character, even frame buffs on a character, and they die and are re-raised by this ability, they do not keep those buffs. But apparently, at least in Rosa's case, I haven't checked it with other characters, because if you have 2 out of 3 ingots, because she starts the quest with this, when she re-raises, she also gets that. So I thought that was cool. And then if you fully realize her EX weapon, Luminous Arrow does 50% splash damage and hits a lot harder. Her sphere is a C sphere, which is the healer sphere. Restores 3% of max HP on a party member's turn for 6 turns when breaking and attacking a broken target. So basically allows people to heal themselves. This is not a party aura, so you put this on a character when they break a target or attack a broken target, they actually get some small regen. So Rosa becomes much more usable. She was fairly usable, but was held back by the fact that she didn't have any healing, and was held back by the fact that she didn't have a level 70 awakening and an EX realization. Her auras have always been good. They're now even better. Her attack aura 85%, her max brave aura 60%, her I brave aura 75%. Now with an HP regen, brave regen, and overflow, and even more attack and overflow with her AA. So she's doing a lot of stuff, and she's very, very fun. But yeah, she's great. I don't know what you want me to say besides that. For her artifacts, you want to get her C50, which is going to increase her aura even more. So I believe it's called White Mage Devotion. So that's a 2-star red aura that you can get from her artifact passives. Then you probably want to prioritize attack and then max brave. I think perfect arts for her are probably attack 108 plus the White Mage Devotion 2-star. She is pretty straightforward to play. You can just go straight into HP attacking, battery the party, do damage. You can use her Divine Blast to do some damage and battery the party. You can use Prayer to battery the party and give re-raise. She's, not a crazy damage dealer. She does do considerable damage compared to some others, compared to what she was doing. But her main focus is to really buff the party and give them the things that they really need. She does pair exceptionally well with I Brave characters that have HP regeneration already, or excuse me, Brave regeneration already, or high I Braves, and take advantage of I Brave related stats. She does well with characters like Ultimisha who take free turns because her buffs are all based on her frame buff, Rosa's Prayer, and not party buffs. So she doesn't really give the party any buffs besides the re-raise. So she does pair well with other supports who give framed and non-framed auras. She pairs well with DPS characters. She really, I'm not really sure she pairs badly with anything. Really one of the only downfalls of Rosa is she has one ability that is magic and one ability that is ranged. So Divine Blast is a magic attack, Luminous Arrow is a ranged attack, and so that can be an issue. But because she's a support character, it's probably not going to be an issue a lot of the time. And when it is an issue, you probably have somebody like Y'shtola or Rem or name any other 1,000 supports that we have now that's going to be useful. So, I mean, I think most people knew that she was really good. She is really good. Is she better than, I guess, Y'shtola would be her main competition? I think they both have their strengths. I think Y'shtola is really good for battering and just constant battery. I think Rosa is going to do a little bit more aura support and more, well, she definitely does do more aura support and more damage than Y'shtola. But if you're really just focusing on battery, I think, GRW18 is asking, I cannot purple Rosa. How good is her healing? It's not the best healing in the game. So she doesn't really burst heal like Aerith would burst heal. She doesn't burst heal like Y'shtola would burst heal. But with her re-raise buff that she gives everybody, the frame buff re-raise, everybody does get a small HP regeneration, and she does get HP regeneration on her EX plus. So again, as Drew Zane is saying, 5% regen from the buff, from the frame buff re-raise, and 20% every time she uses her EX plus. So no, not Warrior World Evolution, not Warrior of Light bad. She's a better healer than Warrior of Light. But yeah, Kylax is saying kind of on par with Charlotte. I think that's fair. She is a workable healer that is giving massive buffs. Yep. So she's not. If you need tons of healing, you could pair her with another healer if you needed, or even another healer that provides some regen. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out as I'm talking why Joshua shared this image of Tidus talking in Final Fantasy X.
Joshua told us that the next global first character is going to be that kid from Final Fantasy X.
The I want to be a blitzball when I grow up kid. Oh, that's a classic Final Fantasy X. So you heard it from the mouth of the community manager, Squex Joshua. The global exclusive first character is going to be I want to be a blitzball kid. He's going to be growing up, and he will be a blitzball. So it's just going to be a ball because he's found a way to turn himself into one of those. So can also, or I'm going to say Drew Zane is saying she can also give herself her own sphere to Blitzball. Yeah, that's a reference to something else. That was not a mispronunciation. That's a reference to something else. Anyway, yes, she could give herself her own sphere to heal even more. But yeah, I purpled her and have been using her. I think she's great. She's not one of my top 10 favorite characters, but she's a top 25 favorite. So I'm at the point where I've gotten my top 10 favorite EXs. All of my top 10 characters have their EXs, and I have them all. And so now I'm trying to pick up the top 25 characters, their EXs, and then I'll have to rethink about that when LDs come out. But yeah, so what? Any other things on Rosa? Anything I missed? I mean, she's pretty straightforward. I was waiting for posts of people like who were totally underwhelmed. I've been working. I haven't really been focused on Facebook or anything else, but I was waiting for the slew of, well, Rosa doesn't do any damage, or man, Rosa sucks, because people were like putting her in terrible team comps and everything else. But I haven't really seen any of that. So hopefully people figured out how to play her.
The one thing you forgot to emphasize is that Rosa's auras are highly conditional upon party members' HP.
Yep.
The condition has been loosened substantially.
Yes.
But because of her garbage healing and because it trickles so slowly for the most part, could be a large window of time where her allies just are not benefiting from her prayer aura. And that can be problematic during difficult fights where HP damage is coming out relatively frequently.
Yeah, I mentioned
so you gotta be cautious of fights where you can get a lot of predictable HP damage that you need to deal with.
I mentioned it early on, but just to clarify, the auras that she gets used to be So Rosa's Prayer, which is her frame buff that grants the auras, the attack, max brave, and imp brave auras, it used to be, well, HP was lower than 20% or higher than 80%. So if your party was almost dead or at full health, they got the auras, but in between, they never did. Now that changed with her C60 crystal passive, Prayer Extension, and now that has further changed so that the effect is 50% or less or 80% of max all the time. So, well, HP is less than 50% or more than 80%. So there is a window between 80% and 50% HP. If your party falls in that window, they are not receiving the buffs, the auras from Rosa. So, in that case, you do probably need to use... I mean, you're talking one EX use and a turn to really bridge that gap. But in battles where you're taking a lot of HP damage, consistent HP damage, and Rosa is your only healer, that's going to be problematic. So,
to chime in, so to reiterate really quick what Mark said is, I think Rosa's the best newbie character you could get right now. You press buttons and win. Literally every button on her kit, either batteries or heals. Everything from her Brave pluses to her HP pluses to everything. AA also. You just press a button, you're going to do something, you're going to battery, you're going to heal. Just her sitting there on the field is her main use. You really can't play this character wrong at fucking all. She's amazing. Everyone knows she's amazing. The auras alone, to cover what it was, healing's very minimal. Damage is gonna fall off quick, but just sitting there with the auras and you bring newer DPS, she's gonna carry her weight. But we all know why Rose is good. Let me cover why she's bad or other considerations. First is I want to say that I think Y'shtola is very comparable to Rosa. And if you feel like if you have Y'shtola, you feel like that's enough, you don't really pull for Rosa, that's fine. I think you'll get by just fine. But one or the other would be really nice. Y'shtola has a lot more utility with the delays, the bigger burst battery, and everything. Right now, I'm not sure how many people have taken Rosa outside of Synergy, because she's hitting 9999 in Synergy. Outside, she is not.
Even if she was hitting 999 out of Synergy, she does not have a lot of brave hits on any of her abilities.
Mm-hmm. Right. So Rosa's weaknesses are, very soon, in a couple of weeks, maybe even less than a month, you're going to see that she is there for the aura, because she's going to be subpar on your team when it comes to brave shaving. The batteries are nice because they're constant, but she's not going to battery as hard as some others like Y'shtola. Y'shtola is going to fill your entire team up every time with Medica 2 and the EX. Rosa does not have that level of capability. Oh, and Y'shtola also fully heals. Rosa does not have that capability. She's a more newbie-friendly character because re-raise is easier than, say, Y'shtola's EX. And it's on-demand, and it's passive, right? You're always going to have it up anyways. Because I know there's so many people who are getting chaos clears with Y'shtola. I've talked to a lot of players on our Discord who are more casual, and they're like, oh yeah, once Y'shtola came, I could now clear all these chaoses and collect all my ingots on a regular basis. Rosa makes that even easier, because you don't have to think about team comp as hard, and the raises are automatic and don't take up a turn or do anything. She's also easy. She's not going to be dumping HP all the time either, because Prey doesn't dump HP, but that's good on a defensive level, because if you ever see a hit coming and you just want to block it, that's fine. But battery is decent. Healing subpar, Brave Shave subpar, HP damage outside of Synergy pretty subpar. Let's be honest. So she is not a carry herself, as Saz kind of was. Because Saz hit pretty damn hard when he was King support, right?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, but Rosa is not that level of offense. But the point is, Rosa is the perfect third slot filler for any team.
Right.
If you're thinking about any fight, you're just like, okay, I need these two characters, and I don't know, I'll throw in Rosa. Physical resistant, throw in Rosa. Magic resistant, throw in Rosa. You need some heals, throw in Rosa. You really can't go wrong. She's such a team agnostic character. But know that you are 100% using her for her auras. I think on a pure utility level, Y'shtola is better. But Rosa's way more no-brainer for
So
sure.
I will say this. I
Yeah.
agree. I think overall, if you're going to go just, I mean, Rosa is a support battery healer, and Y'shtola is a support battery healer, right? They are.
GR18 put it the best way. He's like, so you're saying even in DFFOO, Rose is still a doormat. She exists just to be there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty thematic if you think about it. You put Cecil and Kane and Rosa on a team, and you're going to have the two boys doing everything, and just her inspiring presence sitting in the background is going to make them
Cecil
fight
will be doing
harder.
more healing.
Yeah,
I know,
Cecil
right?
will eventually be doing more healing. Yes. That is
so
Cecil.
so while I think Rose is extremely strong, good at what she does, and extremely newbie friendly, I think you'll be fine with. She's not a must pull.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if you're budgeting, I think Y'shtola is probably the stronger overall, better character. Probably a little harder to play, although I mean, I think she's easy enough to play. The one thing I will say, so we've gotten a whole bunch of supports. Vanille, Sarah, Setzer all realized this month. Kate Sith realized this month. I guess Yuna could be in that category. I don't really consider her support.
We're getting Bart's later. We just got Barrett. We're getting a lot of
Barrett,
solid support
Rosa,
options.
Yuffie has a fat aura too, right?
Yeah,
Yuffie has a really
coming,
fat aura.
Bart's is coming, but after that, there's really we're gonna have. I mean, Aiko gets her realization. It's not super strong. Ignis gets his realization. It's gimmicky. I mean, there's not a ton of support characters coming that kind of do what Y'shtola and Rosa do. So if you're low on supports, especially for Entropy, you definitely probably want to pick her up. If you've got like 6 or 7 supports, yeah, you might be okay, especially if you're planning. If Aiko's a favorite character, Ignis is a favorite character. You'd probably be okay. Yeah, definitely. And how have we ever said someone is a must pull? I mean, besides we did say
Ultimisha was the last one, right?
We did say definitely Zaz was a must pull. He wasn't a must pull, but he made the game a lot easier. Ultimisha has made the game a lot easier. I don't think there are characters that have made the game much easier. Ultimisha currently is one of those. Emperor probably will be one of those as well. Even Y'shtola, but I think Y'shtola, Rosa certainly.
Y'shtola is really strong. Yeah,
are gonna hurt or not gonna help. Kylax is saying Sarah. I'm not purpling Sarah. I'm holding back. I'm holding back. She does. I see Sarah's in every single clear. But yeah, I mean, but the kind of Zaz 35 that just lasted 2 months, or Beatrix when she launched that lasted a couple months. I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, I can't do anything because I didn't get Rosa. No, but she's just another good support character to have in your arsenal of support characters, depending on how many you have. I have many of them, not all of them, but quite a few.
I think the important thing to consider is that Rosa might not come back for a little while.
Yes.
If you really do want her, you have to pull her now. Yeah. Whereas Sarah and Y'shtola, 2 of the other solid supports of the EX Plus era, if you did not already use your EX tokens from Dimension's End, you could get them right now, or you could wait and get them later.
Yeah, they're both available.
So they are options that are available anytime, as long as you save your EX tokens for them. And Rose is a character you need to get right now.
Here we go. Sorry. Jesus LBL says, I think Rosa Aura will last longer than Ish Utility. I think I agree with that. I do. But also, while Rosa Aura is competitive, it's not going to be long until there are going to be people who can do what she does and better. Penelo is almost a straight power creep to Rosa. And as Mark was saying, I'm going to rate Rosa strong on my scale, but Mark was saying, oh, it's not like this level. I'm saying there are going to be, well, he's saying we never say anyone's a must pull, but I do think there are meta characters. Then there are meta characters at a higher level than Rosa. Like we said, I think Ultimisha is one of those because she makes a lot of content easier. But coming up also, I think Zach is going to be a huge, huge meta player.
Yeah.
For example, like I think Rosa and Emperor are strong, but I think the GL community hype for them is really, really high because they don't last forever and they're not like a brand new level of power. Oh, we'll talk about Emperor next week. That's not this week. But for example, Rosa is extremely strong, but she's not like Saw's 6 months strong or Ultimisha get you through the hardest part of the game strong or like Lael and Beatrix, like characters that stomp everything.
When did we get Ultimisha? Because she's got a real good run. I mean, you could certainly use plenty of other characters.
You can still use her now. You can still use Ultimisha now.
I mean, she's getting a lot of use right now. It's not just you can use her. You can use a lot of characters. It's that she continues to be used.
Late November, Drew Sane said.
Late November. So yeah, she's got. Yeah. It's not been quite 2 months.
Some people are saying December.
So. I don't. No, it was November 28th. Yeah. So it's not been 2 months. But that's to use a character consistently for 2 months in this game is really good. And so that will, and if you pull for Emperor, you're going to be able to use Emperor over the next 2 months, no problem. You're going to use Rosa over the next 2 months, no problem. You're going to be using Y'shtola, and you're going to be able to continue to use them as time goes on. But
I'll also defend Y'shtola for newer players, even though I said Rose is easier to use, but Y'shtola will get you all those clears. She'll get you the HP damage check because she can heal much better than Rosa. And she's just
the turn delay is not to be understated.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
She's just a safeguard for getting just clears if that's all you want. Okay, but that's all I got.
Y'shtola's great, and Rosa's great, and so good luck if you have. I'm sure you've already pulled, but if you haven't, you're considering it. Yeah, look and see what you got. Look and see what you have down for Entropy, and look and see what you're going to use for Entropy 6, which is melee resistant. So Rosa fits in really good there, as does Emperor. So there are lots, as does Yuna. There are some options there, and you're not going to regret that. So let's look at the podcast polls.
I'll just quickly chime in before we go to the polls and say that basically you have a lot of solid support options right now.
Yes.
None of them are wrong, and you probably want more than one of them.
No doubt. We were low. We had a couple early. We had Charlotta and Afmal and a couple others late EX era, and then we got Kryle's not really a big support, but Rem and Deuce and who else was in that early batch of supports that kind of got you through. But then we've been hit with
Warrior of Light.
Warrior of Light, utility tank support. So let's look at the banner. You can go to, on our Discord, you can go to podcast polls and submit your vote for your option. Gives us a little sense of what the community is. So a lot of people responded to this. Looks like 72 folks voted on this banner. 20 going to pity. Of course, we don't know if they were going to pity Rosa or Sabin. 4 going to use gems. 34 going to use tickets, and 14 skip. So, a whole bunch ready to pity, a whole bunch ready to ticket. So, a lot of interest in this banner. So, obviously, I think most people were going to be pitying, looking at these numbers, pitying Rosa. Of the people who either got or wanted Rosa's EX, one was going to keep it as an EX. One was going to realize it and do nothing else. One was going to just use one ingot. One was going to use, or 3 were going to use 2 ingots. And I did not mention, but you definitely, if you're going to use Rosa, I think you definitely want 2 out of 3. At that point, I would just do 3 out of 3. 2 out of 3 just seems weird to me. I can kind of get behind a character that maybe you can get by with 1 out of 3, but if you're going to do 2 out of 3, might as well just do 3 out of 3 in my mind. I can be wrong, and you can do 2 out of 3. That's, you know, 1 ingot is 1 ingot. So, but I would encourage you to at least 2 out of 3, but definitely 3 out of 3. She's going to be real good with that. And 56, we're going to 3 out of 3 Rosa. So the majority of people, we're going to follow what I would do, which is 3 out of 3. Of the people who got Sabin's EX, 20 were going to keep it as an EX. Only 7 were going to just realize it, and 3 Brave Soul, or 6 Brave Souls were going to fully limit break it, including Mino Spellgood and Inkwelder of the Tonberry Troop. So those 2 idiots fully.
You know, like Josh earlier said, you know, I like using Kimahri. Nobody can tell me different. I'm not gonna tell them different because I'm already gonna. I swear I will pull every weapon that comes out for Kane, Sabin, and Jack every time, no matter how shitty they are. And Sabin is by far the bottom floor of shitty. So there you go.
Yeah, Chet's realization isn't too bad. So, but he's coming out pretty soon. That does bring us to the Chaos Fight, a prayer for One Dear, part 14. And this fight brought us the Crust Beetles, the enemies that we fought in her event. They are crusty beetles. They are immune to Paralyze, Confuse. Sorry. Although I did see some Agrius clears with that, but she certainly would have been a lot better with her Paralyze intact. They are weak to Wind and Holy. So this is just right up Sabin's alley. The big thing behind you, I should say, wave 3, you fight 2 liches, but they don't have tons of HP compared to some of the liches we fought before. So I don't think those are going to give you a lot of trouble. But the final wave is these 2 crust beetles, and their main mechanic is if they break you, they get to really almost act again, and they get to do the giant pincer attack and HP attack and pretty much kill you. That being said, their power Blaze ++ has a very high turn rate. So if you don't debuff them, I saw a lot of people use Sarah to debuff their attack. If you don't debuff them, and I did not, I brought a team that did not debuff the attack, I believe. Maybe it does. I have to remember those frame debuffs. But if you don't debuff them, they are doing a lot of brave damage. And even if they don't break you, the turn rate on Blaze ++ is so fast that in my initial run, I actually got killed, even though I had plenty of brave, like 30, 40,000 brave on Charlotta. It did so much damage, 20, 30,000 brave damage, that it immediately acted again and killed, one-shotted Charlotta. So it didn't break her, but because of that high turn rate, it was able to kill her. They do have several debuffs, including Max Brave down, which is a pain in the butt, attack down. I thought there was another one. Poison, defense down. And of course, at certain thresholds of their HP, they do get more powerful with invisible self buffs to all of their stats. So Blaze Plus, Blaze ++, and Firmhorn trigger giant pinchers when inflicting break or attacking target afflicted with break while enraged. So that's at that point they are doing like an instant HP attack and killing you. So, but yeah, that being said, this is a fairly fast chaos fight. I played very conservatively, and I was able to beat it in 55 turns. I saw well under 50 turns represented several times with more aggressive play styles. So it was doable, and I died. I did not reset because why would you reset? So Charlotta got toasted and re-raised because I had re-raise on her. And I still got the score by a couple 100,000, actually. So the score requirement is actually fairly lenient. It's only 500,000. I got well over 700,000, and that is with a KO. So, and GRWH saying the same thing.
I mean, yeah, with Rosa as the lead character, they've got to let you raise a couple times, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the big thing people were complaining about was turn count. So I think if you bring Rosa or Stola or somebody who can revive, the point is don't play too defensively,
No.
and you're allowed a revive or two, but finding the balance between playing defensively and not getting broken, but pumping out a lot of damage so you make the turn count is definitely the challenge here.
Yeah, and I felt I played fairly,
Yeah.
like I said, I felt I played fairly conservatively early on, especially, but I was also using Ultimisha and Charlotta, French Charlotta. So,
Yeah, that's a strong team, Mark. That's a really
yeah,
strong team.
yeah. No, you know,
The last thing I have to say about this fight is just like I said about Kimahri's is I feel like it's a good fight because you have a lot of options. It might not feel like it. I know there's a lot of discussion for people who didn't have synergy or meta characters. Like I think Ink struggled a good amount because he didn't have Ultimisha and he didn't pull Rosa as well.
Mm.
And some of the people who were in the same boat were struggling to meet the turn count. But I mean, I still think you have a lot of options because, like Mark said, attack debuffing really helps with the breaking, or just defense and shields and tanking. Like, there are a lot of ways to get around the breaks or make them hit less hard. So, fights like these where there's lots and lots of approaches, I really appreciate it. Kreese, did you have anything to add to this?
I have not done this chaos yet, so I cannot give any first-hand experience myself. So I'll leave it where you guys left it.
all right. Well, I was going to look and see if, because I thought I saw several. Yeah, here's lots of people using Rosa, not Rosa, Sarah, excuse me, using Sarah. Oh, here's a Warrior of Light. Oh, yeah, all Ultimisha. A lot of Ultimisha. I was going to say Warrior of Light and Kate Sith with Ultimisha. That's from Danny Cruz. Yeah, Rosa Bosch Kuja, that's Xenon did that. That was in Japan on his Japanese run. I don't believe
Sarah definitely
arms.
makes this safer. Warrior of Light obviously makes this safer. Both
Jin,
both protect against a lot of that brave shave potential or danger from the brave shave.
Our
Oh,
friend,
quick question. Are they immune to blind? Because Kimahri
no,
would be really good for this too, right?
they are not immune to blind.
Yeah, so Kimahri
And
gets the
true blind
blind.
is different from blind.
Ah, yeah, and he reduces the brave and HP. Yeah, actually, Kimahri is almost made for this. Josh, you better have completed this chaos already.
With Kimahri. I'm not seeing a Kimahri.
You know,
run,
Josh has not completed this chaos.
Wow, that is disrespectful.
Our friend Jin Lee, who does our art for us and our graphics for us, I never showed and the I am. Did I share the shirt? I am wearing my TCC podcast official apparel as of right now. So Jin Lee, who helped make that logo for us, he brought Rosa, Zach, and Tifa, and also did a run with Rosa, Warrior of Light, and Renoa. So obviously with Rosa, there's a lot of different options. You don't have to rely on. What's her name? Ultimisha. Yeah. So there are others. He also did. That's right. He also did a Sephiroth run. So yeah, with Rosa, you have lots of different Sephiroth Rosa rem. So there's lots of different options for that as well. So yeah, he did a run with Renoa. Yeah, and Sephiroth. Yep. So he's a very good player. So you can check out his Jin Lee, JIN space LE on YouTube. DFFOO Jin Lee, and Jin does tons of good runs and fun runs and everything else.
In a week or two, Aiko will be a solid option too.
Yeah, Aiko's
if you can't yet.
Yep. All right. Well, moving on to some discussion for tonight. Not that we haven't been discussing anything, but you can go to podcast questions and you can submit your questions for the show. Tritoch has a great question. Have the hosts and co-hosts used any spheres? And if so, who and where? Or is everyone still suffering from mega elixir disorder? Or how does he say it? Mega elixir-itis. That the idea that, well, I got to save all my mega elixirs because you never know when I'm going to need them. And then you beat the final boss and you have 99 mega elixirs and you never used them. That is how I play Final Fantasy. So that is a problem that I have. For me, I actually have some very some embarrassing things to share about this, but I gave Ultimecia her E sphere, the full critical guard down. I think that's a good sphere for her. And since Squall is my really my second favorite character, Renault's my favorite character, I actually gave Squall his sphere, which is the break boost longer sphere. But I didn't realize, I don't know if I was tired or I wasn't paying attention, but I went to add Agrius's sphere as a second sphere, which is a full HP boost, and I accidentally replaced Squall's sphere. So instead of doing it in the second slot, I did it in the first slot, and I just must have pressed the button because I'm like, yeah, of course I want to do this. Yeah, and so I lost Squall's sphere. So I did put Ace's sphere on Squall. So Squall has Agrius's sphere and Ace's sphere and his own sphere, which has disappeared, and I am embarrassed about that. But, you know, it's what happens. That's the only spheres I've used. You guys used any spheres?
I haven't used anything. I forgot the spheres.
I have used zero spheres too.
I forgot
I am
spheres
in
were a
arthritis.
thing. I forgot spheres were a thing. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, apparently we don't use a lot of spheres here. I do see a lot of friends as I'm, you know, in co-op or anything else. I do see people using. I should. Squex Joshua, can you help me out? Can you give me my Squall? It's not that big of a deal, people. I'm not gonna.
He's not that anymore. He left.
I'm not gonna put a support ticket in for that sphere that I lost. I'll get over it. Ito asks on updates between the war between TCC and Tonberry Troop. There is no war between the Tonberry Troop and the TCC podcast. We are all very copacetic. Red Kane does have a follow-up.
Except we're winning.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
on
we're
board.
winning. If there was a war, we would be the victors. Red Kane says, to go with the sphere question, any spheres you're particularly happy about using or regrets? Well, I think we answered that as Mino and Kreese haven't used any, and I regret just trashing one for no reason at all. Now, Lafarl has a good question. Where would the hosts like to see Abyss Beta moving forward? Would it be too brutal to have chaos level difficulty with the stringent requirements found in Abyss? Would the hosts think that Cosmos level would be viable at this stage? Or should Abyss mainly be used to encourage a wider cast being used? So what are your hopes, or do you have any hopes for Abyss? We haven't had an update to Abyss for a while. Maybe we won't. Maybe Abyss is dead. Maybe we're going to get Abyss next for the second anniversary. I don't know. What do you think? Any thoughts?
I would really like. I just want more Abyss. Maybe raise the difficulty. Maybe not too high. I feel like if they keep making Abyss floors with Entropy floors, there'd be a new element to the game I really enjoy. Right now, when you're collecting characters, you're asking, are they good for Entropy? You're like saying, if there are 7 stages out, do I have 7 healers? Do I have 7 DPS? Do I have something to fill in that third slot? That's all you're asking about when you collect characters. I feel like if you crank it up to even Cosmos difficulty, Abyss, I remember when I was playing, I was asking myself, do I have enough viable fist users? Do I have enough viable yellow crystals? You know, do I have enough viable gun users? Like, I feel like that adds another layer to the collection game, which gotchas are. You know, all you're doing is collecting characters, and it lets non-meta characters shine too. Because instead of, can this character do this next level of Entropy, it's just, oh, do I have like a yellow dagger user that I can plug in here? Like, it lets more of the roster be viable, be useful, and it lets you feel good about collecting more things other than just chasing meta. So I really hope they push forward with it. It doesn't even have to be terribly difficult. It can be something casual for everybody. You know, people who are burned out on chaos, because there are a lot of people burned out on chaos. This would be a nice little diversion.
I think it would be really cool.
I kind of agree with Mino.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like it to be something like a step down from Dimensions End difficulty, something that's mostly EX and Cosmos difficulty, but still promotes and rewards varied teams and varied unit options so that you can meet the requirements of the stages, and maybe reward books or pages for some of the stages to help the people that are struggling with books but are swimming in ingots after completing all of Dimensions End. That might be a nice way to incentivize people to continue working on Abyss. It's one of those things where I think it's an interesting idea and I'd like to see it continue, just not in the same direction as Dimensions End
Right.
is.
You can have that for free, Josh.
Yeah, so currently the last stratum of Abyss beta is stratum 10, and that had only 4. That had 4 nodes of EX level fights, level 100 fights, and then that unlocked one Cosmos level fight. So, even moving forward, a Abyss with all Cosmos level fights and 1 Chaos level fight may not be a terrible thing, compared to, a lot of other things, but the restrictions could be tough, compared to 7,
Again,
8,
I
9,
think I would
10
prefer
Chaos.
it be an easier fight
no,
and
I
have
agree.
tighter restrictions and have looser restrictions and have it be a harder fight.
Yeah, right, and give us, some ability to use some of those older characters and everything else. So, Iris, thank you for the follow. Yeah, appreciate that. All right, so let us know what you think about Abyss. It's been a while since we got an update. Maybe we'll get something in the future. I'd hate for them to have given us that and then just not do anything with it. I actually liked it quite a bit, and I like Dimensions End as well. But so Anomander is asking, with anniversary coming up, what year was the best year of DFFOO? Do you anticipate next year to be better? What are your best memories of said year? So I guess our questions are, was the first year or the second year better? And are you looking forward to the third year? So we've already completed 1 full year. We're about to complete 2 years here in the next month. So, what do you guys think?
I mean, I'll answer this the best way. I saw other people. I think GRW18 put this in the channel. Let me double check. Oh, well, I don't have time to check, but basically, it's this second year was a blast for GL because we got so many shakeups. I think it was somebody said on our Discord that it really established that GL was its own game. We got a GL exclusive. We got a bunch of time traveling, so the meta was tossed all around. We got a lot of early reworks. We got a lot of early EXs. Like, it was a very, very different landscape, and I appreciate it a lot. Oh, we got Abyss. We got so much GL exclusive stuff. Like, it was great. And they're asking, do you think next year will be better? Honestly, it seems like they stopped trying to shake things up. Ever since late summer, where they came out with the cursed artifacts anyways and said that we need to be as close to the JP game as possible, it seems like since then there's been 0 shakeups. There's been no more time traveling after the Lightning Cane rework, which came right before that. No more, and that was almost 6 months ago.
That was the last Abyss tier too.
Yeah, that was the last Abyss tier, the last time traveling, and then Cursed Artifacts came out. It was like a kiss of death because now we got 0 shakeups all the way through. Even though I expected this, a lot of people did not. That we followed JP to the tier by skipping Beatrix LC, where she would have came in the GL schedule. I think Titus was put back on the Fang one, right? It was Titus who was originally.
Titus back on Fang.
Yeah, so they reverted all the change-ups. Nothing new. It's been like 5-6 months with nothing new after so long of having so many GL shakeups. And if it continues, it's into next year, that's going to be very boring. I'm going to say right now, I know Josh isn't with us anymore, but I know he watches the VODs and plays backs later. I don't know how the sales are in JP right now. I think they look healthy, but a lot of JP players are saying that garbage time 2.0. Ever since burst weapons came out, the game's getting really stale because it seems to be the same formula. The boss mechanics stopped being unique. It's now just whoever has the bigger numbers, and pulling the burst weapon means you instantly win every event for the next for the 2 weeks they're out, because the burst character is synergy and destroys every event. Like, of course, when you have Noctis burst out there with his LD, you don't really need the other characters to do like the challenge quest to get the BT weapons, or you only need the one character. Instead of pulling for characters for every event, you already have an automatic slot filled for the whole thing. You can see that very few people are using the older burst characters, because if you look at JP videos, everyone's just running the new burst character. Because why use old burst characters when the new burst character is not only infinitely more powerful, but also synergy and gets you the challenge rewards? And they're saying the game is so fucking boring ever since burst weapons came out, and I really hope things change GL going forward, because I cannot go through a 4-month garbage time. I might fucking quit if there's a 4-month garbage time. We had a 2.5-month garbage time, and I almost quit. And I think the co-host can say the same.
But you know, the people who are lucky enough to get all the burst weapons, you know, that's not going to be the case with everyone. You know, the chance of getting a burst weapon is fairly low, and the investment to pity one is fairly high. So, you know, unless you have 1 million gems stashed away, or you are just exceptionally lucky, which several of our Japanese playing folks are, just, you know, overly lucky, the chance of getting it on a ticket is very, very low. And I've seen people pull it on tickets, you know, just statistically it's going to happen. But yeah, so and then yeah, we're gonna find out here real quick what that's gonna mean for them moving forward. But
I'll chime in and say that I think year 2 is much better than year 1 due to the shakeups and the surprises, as Mino mentioned. And there's still time for year 3 to have some of those mix-ups and shakeups.
right.
We'll see what Anniversary brings. It's a big opportunity for Square to surprise us. And while we've had an era where things have gone pretty standard and followed Japan closely, we had a period of time where we did follow Japan going into our first anniversary too, so we'll see.
Aeon says on the
Yes.
JP side, I don't know if we should address this since it's GL thing, but it says running the 50 chaos raids wasn't her definition of dead game. Oh, I heard about that. They have a chaos raid that you have to run so much. I've heard, a lot of the JP players, I said, is so tedious raiding that much, because the chaos raids are long. You know how bad our Cosmos runs are now, right? Like 15 some plus minutes. Chaos runs are at least 15 minutes. You know, there's a good possibility of death, and you have to do 50 perfect runs to get everything. And that is, oof. People aren't even happy doing normal co-ops now. You know, they're complaining about that in Discord today. But yeah, I don't think that's content. I think that's a fuckload of a grind. Let's be honest. These last, how many EX pluses did we get this month in GL? Like 10, 12, 14?
About 12 or 13.
Yeah, 12 plus.
It's a lot. We got a lot because of the Ultimate Summon batch.
Yeah. There's no reason the last 8 EX pluses should take 4 months to come out. That is fucking, they're dragging their feet. It is 100% garbage time. It is 4 months of treading water until the anniversary and the new difficulty and whatever else they have planned. There's no reason to have 2 EX pluses a month and like 3 or 4 LDs a month, and that's it. And a burst here and there.
2 bursts a month, yeah. So speaking of dead game, Red Cane asks, Final Fantasy Mobius, or Mobius Final Fantasy, actually, I believe is how they say that, is another gacha game run by Square and based on Final Fantasy. And they just announced that they're going to be ending their GL service soon, here in June. The Japanese servers are going to go down earlier in March. So what about, or how long, I guess the question is, do you have any thoughts about this? And this was a big, when this happened, a lot of people talking. How long do you think DFFOO will continue service? So that was the talk of the hour for a couple hours or a day or so. Currently, there are several Final Fantasy mobile games. Final Fantasy Mobius or Mobius Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy Record Keeper, which is run by DNA Games. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which is mostly run by Squex. Final Fantasy or Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, which is also Squex. And then there's 2 Final Fantasy 15 games, or just the
There's
one.
also Kingdom Hearts UX. I don't remember what the UX stands for
Kingdom
anymore.
Hearts Union.
Union Cross.
Yeah, which is also, has some Final Fantasy elements. There is the I think it's like a tower defense game. That's the Final Fantasy 15, like the Empire game that's pretty popular. And then there's the mobile Final Fantasy 15 game. And then there is the War of the Tactics mobile game that's launched, and it's actually launched in Japan.
You mean Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions? That's just a port of
No.
the Tactics.
No. The actual
Brave Exvius too. Brave Exvius made a sequel that plays like a tactics style.
Yeah,
game.
it's a tactics style.
Okay.
It's only in Japan now, but it's made tons
War
of
of the Visions is what they're saying.
Huge amounts of money already in Japan. So we'll look excited when that comes out into a global. So Some Call Me Brian was asking, well, what's going to happen to our Discord if DFFOO shuts down? Well, this is a DFFOO podcast.
We'll crash and burn our community first.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
much.
It's going to be a while until that happens.
As soon as it's announced, I'm just deleting the server.
Let's hope that War of the Visions hits global so we can start that. That will be season 4 of the Crystal Chronicles. Will be War of the Visions. No. But yeah, so I guess the comments are DFFOO is not the biggest producing of those games. Brave Exvius still brings in more money. Lord knows why, but it still does. Because Ariana Grande.
Gotcha hell.
Yeah, Ariana Grande is in there, so and it's just so many things to pull on. But DFFOO is doing strong here and in Japan. I wouldn't think it's going to go away anytime soon. We will know when it happens. So, but that's that's what happens. I don't know what you want to.
As long as it remains financially viable in Japan, which it seems to be, and it remains financially viable in the global market, which it seems to be, especially considering the localization costs do not seem to be necessarily that high right now. Yeah. I assume it'll continue as long as it is still financially viable, and that seems to be the case for at least another year or two.
So,
and if nothing else, it's a young game. 2 years here, 3 years in Japan. Not even 3. Well, just about 3 years.
Record Keeper and Brave Exvius have been around for what, 4 or 5 years now?
5 or 6 years, yeah. And then don't forget, Square Enix doesn't give up on its games. They crash and burn with them.
Yep.
FF14, they spent a fortune to fucking revamp that. Luckily, it worked out. FF15, they spent a fortune to revamp that. That didn't work out. But they are with their games ride or die because they refuse to let their games die.
Mobius is getting the plug pulled mostly because it is no longer financially solvent or viable to maintain it any further, is my understanding. Is it just does not bring in enough money to support its development.
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things about Mobius since I've played all these games, and I played Mobius quite a bit from launch. But I want to say thank you, Black Cloud, for the follow. Thank you, Hiramura Cat, for the raid. And check out Hiramura Cat on his Twitch. Always enjoy his streams and everything that he does over there. So Mobius is by far the best graphics. Full 3D models, full 3D environments, beautiful graphics. So you can imagine the overhead for that. Very, very high. It's not a hero collector game. It's actually a card game. So I mean, it's kind of a live. It's kind of an action-oriented game, but it's based on kind of a deck of cards that are your powers, and also cards that are your person, changes your person into other things. So it's a very different type of game. Plays very different than any of the other games. It doesn't play like a Final Fantasy game at all, and so I think that's a problem. Very grindy. So a lot of the events were tower events, which were basically kill this boss 500 times over and over and over again. Yeah, Random is saying, so it's Final Fantasy Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, Star Shadow's saying they could, because the story is actually fairly interesting. It's based on Warrior Light. You play Wool, kind of a warrior-like character who has amnesia and all that kind of stuff. So it would actually make a fairly decent console game because the story was fairly intriguing. But of course, it dragged out and dragged out and dragged out, and a lot of the events were just really, really grindy, for no reason. So, yeah, and the nice thing about Dissidia is the hero collector game. Again, I think the big thing with Dissidia that they are 3D models, so that takes takes a lot more work than Brave Exvius and Record Keeper. And of course, we've talked about the voice acting. They could drop the voice acting for all I care. I don't know anybody that's real excited about voice acting in mobile games. I mean, I love the music, obviously, in these games, but I rarely play with the sound on. So you want to cut some costs, Square, drop the voice acting. Like, who freaking cares? But yeah, I know obviously some people do. But yeah, so I mean, whatever. Yeah, Random is Wool from Mobius the same as Warrior of Light that we know from Dissidia? I don't believe so, but I don't know for sure. Yeah. No, yeah, the voices are great, but again, if it's going to save the game. I think somebody, I forget, because maybe it was, I don't know who it was, but somebody said, if you want to save the game, support the game. So spend money on the game, and it's likely to stay around longer. That is true. We've had a lot of conversations about that. So, well, that's all of our questions. Unless there's any questions from the Twitch audience, we'd happy to answer any questions. Chris Mino, did you have anything to add to any of that?
Addressing there was some chat on with JP players in our chat where we're going through all that. They're like, yeah, well, I mean, Black Cloud agrees that the game is getting a little stale in JP. Hopefully Anniversary brings something, but also the 50 chaos raids is ridiculous, and a lot of the JP players here in our chat and the ones I talked to said they just gave up trying to finish it because assuming 20 minutes, and that's assuming you don't die and wipe, 20 minutes run, 50 runs, and that's perfect runs. If you fuck up, take too much HP damage, you don't kill it fast enough, you're looking at 15 hours to grind it out. I could fucking play God of War in 15 hours. I don't know if I want to do and then like because I think there's some discussion
I finished Pokemon stories in that amount of time.
Yeah. and that's like running 20-minute fights too. Like I can do it on chaos where I can like reset the fight or turn it off when I have to work. But like if I have to sit there and concentrate. But anyways, the point is there are some concerns with the JP players I've been talking to, and let me know what you guys think about this. But they said the content cycle is getting old after 3 years, as in event LC, and then they're saying in Japan the grind's getting worse. There's 9 summon boards now, and then there's character boards, and more crystals and everything. And I heard a similar complaint here among GL players. It's like, oh, I spend days building up a character and then 10 minutes doing content. And then the next event drops, and then I'm spending days building up the character just to do the content that's over in 10 minutes. And then they're saying, like, it's fun, but this is...
Let me stop you for a second. If you're spending days building up the character, you're playing wrong.
I mean, that's fair.
You're not good at the game.
I think the better complaint is that the time you spend grinding up the character is greater than the time you spend on the relevant content for that character most of the time.
Right. Right. And then I think the biggest question... This is why Pierre quit. Pierre said he got tired of the gameplay cycle, right? He's like, it's the same every month. You hit an event, you recruit the character, then an LC, you recruit, and then over and over. And then we're going 2 years strong. I'm still not burnt out of the game. I know there's exciting times coming ahead of us because of JP, because we have that foresight.
Yeah.
But also, this 4-month garbage time seems very daunting, and I can see how by year 3, you're kind of tired doing literally the same thing with more boards to grind and more shit to grind. So we'll see when we get there. This is another plea. Square Enix, please hear us and speed us through that, like we got sped through some other stuff. But oh right, remember the first garbage time? That's when we got GL exclusive EXs.
Yep.
Remember that when Kuja came out, or when Kame came out, like right there with Saz. Imagine those 4 months of no EXs. Imagine how terrible the game would have been, right? Like it was like 3-4 months if you only did the level 50 fights when you had characters as strong as Kuja. And
I am surprised it has taken them this long to I thought like after burst, I thought they would introduce burst, but like within a month we would have level 80. Within a month we would have the next tier of difficulty. But it really, just hasn't come in Japan yet. It is coming, but yeah, it's been a long time, and introducing these, what's the reasoning? Well, everybody was so pissed off when Chaos hit because no one had anything for Chaos, so they're giving everyone lead time. Well, now everyone's complaining that there's nothing to do because they're giving everybody lead time to prep for this next difficulty. So to be fair, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. If they just gave them the next difficulty level, everybody would have been pissed off because they wouldn't have been able to do anything, wouldn't have been able to beat it. Now everyone's pissed off because there's nothing to do. I mean, that's just us finding something to be pissed off about. Let's be honest. We're always going to find something to be pissed off about.
I slightly disagree. Kreese, come be the tiebreaker, but basically, I would rather get hit by another difficulty right away. I did not feel like Cosmos was really garbage time until we got Chaos, right? Like it was engaging enough. Then we get hit by Chaos. A lot of vets had fun. I'm sure it turned off some people, but it was a challenge. It was something to do. The problem is GL got lucky the first year because we got early EXs.
We also got very early 35s.
Yeah, we got very early 35s, very early EXs, and and the +1 off our pulls.
The only thing that really hurt was the late awakening waves when they brought EX fights very early.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's DFFOO has a natural garbage time every fucking year if you're playing JP. If you're playing JP and you an entire year without EXs, EX fights, and you had characters of like Kuja level, Sephiroth level, they would stomp those level 50 fights in 3 turns. Like that would have been super boring. Early EXs, I think the devs knew that was a time where people were falling off, so they introduced something for GL. But then we got Garbage Time Part 2, which is the Summer of Kuja, and like we were all kind of bored during that, let's be honest. And that was 2.5 months. That was mind-numbing. And now we get a third Garbage Time that's lasting 4. Like it did not need to be 4 months. I mean, Mark's saying a bit of a lead-in. There's no way they needed this much of a fucking lead-in.
Well, I'm not
4
saying
months.
it's good or bad. I'm saying that people were upset that Chaos came and they weren't able to do anything. So now they've given them time, and now people are complaining that there's nothing to do. I'm just saying, hopefully by the time it gets to us, they'll be giving us a little bit more to do or throwing. And I mean, we're going to get this global exclusive. This global first, so that's going to throw something into the pot here. Maybe we're going to get the realized version of beta, who knows, but yeah, anything else?
I think we're in the middle of a phase in Japan, and we don't usually talk about Japan, so I don't know why we're doing it, but
I don't know either.
The devs aired too much on the opposite end after botching Chaos and EX plus weapons. We decided to warn them. It's coming. You know when it's coming. Here's the thing you need to do this thing that is coming. But they gave them too much of a lead time on it.
I think there's just less to pull for. There's literally only 8 new weapons a month. 2 are EX pluses that, while good for the month, don't scale very hard. 2 are burst weapons, which are extremely rare, and just curve stomp everything. And then 4 LDs. Like, that's the least we've ever had to pull for things, I think.
Well, I mean, it seems just from logging on, there's a lot more than that. I'll have to look and see.
Oh, right. Yeah. If
exactly
you're
how
starting new, you're missing characters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you got to
but-
fill in the gaps. But I'm saying, like, technically, in terms of new things, whereas, like, EX Plus era is very fun because we're getting, like, 14 fucking EX Pluses a month. Or even Awakenings, level 60 Awakenings, we got, like, 10, 12 Awakenings a month, right? Like, there's a lot of new stuff.
Well, we'll see. I think the good news is the game's probably not going to go anywhere for a little while, so we'll keep playing. And if you want to keep it, keep supporting it, keep playing, keep spending, all that kind of stuff to help keep the game. And tell other people about the game and get them to download the game and play the game and pay for the game if you can. So, right, that's how it works. Share it on social media and all that kind of stuff so other people are playing. That's how you keep the games going. I like this game. I think everybody does. We do a podcast now for 85 episodes this time around. So, well, I think that's going to clear it up for today. Looking ahead, the Emperor event is on the 19th, Dimensions End Entropy 6 on the 23rd, along with Ultimate Brothers. So here at the end of the month, we got a few things, and the Swex mobile stream the Monday afterwards, the last Monday of the month, and that will hopefully give us a hint on who this global first character is. Want to thank everybody who joined us on Twitch, everybody who subbed and liked and rated. Appreciate all of that. Thanks to our whole crew, not just myself, Mino, and Kreese, but all of our mods, all of our friends Macnol, Quetz, Tomberry Troop, all those great people, Arrow and J.A and Jin Lee and Dreamy and Inkwelder. Who am I missing on that as well? But everybody who makes this podcast possible every single week, really appreciate that, and really thank you all for showing up. You can get to know us more at tccpodcast.com. If you're just joining us now, you can go back video on demand right as soon as we're done and catch this on Twitch. Tomorrow morning, it should be on YouTube, as well as all of your favorite podcast apps and services. You can always just listen and download all of our shows on our website, tccpodcast.com. But if you have iPhone, you can listen to Apple Podcasts. If you have a Google phone, you can listen, or an Android phone, you can listen to the Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you are an Apple user and you do use Apple Podcasts, I encourage you to give us a rating and a review. We're actually rated on gaming podcasts in the Apple Podcast Store, or Apple Podcast in general. So that those reviews do help quite a bit. Appreciate that. So for myself, for Mino Spellgood, for Kreese, aka Sir Rink, thank you for joining us for episode 85 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. And as you approach Emperor next week, may you all have wonderful pulls, and goodbye.